Hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to today's little mini group. I got some fun patterns we're going to do today. So if you've been to my Tuesday group in probably the last 30 days, two of the patterns that we're going to do today look very familiar because they are variations that are a little bit more complex than recent patterns. So let's hop right into it. So. Oh, God, come on. All right. So one of the recent patterns we've done is paradox, which if you don't remember or you're like, I wasn't there that day, paradox is a super fun pattern that I really like because it looks way more complex than it actually is. So start with just a square. I'm going to start in this bottom left corner. I'm going to have a line that goes from that corner upwards. That's going to end right about there. And I always think of it as it's like a really skinny slice of pizza. And then where that line ends, I'm going to do the same thing with another line going this way, like another slice that's going to end probably about there. Another skinny slice. Same thing traveling down, having it get a little bit wider. And as I do this last one, I'm always going to have my line end on the innermost line. I guess I should say this is paradox. And so we're just going to repeat same thing over and over again until the whole entire space is full. And if you get really good at this pattern, you can do it all in kind of one swoop. And what you should end up with is, it always makes me think of this spiraling, like a staircase, like you're looking down a staircase. So this is paradox. And the pattern we're actually going to learn today is hamadox. So this is a variation of paradox. And so looking at kind of the outermost layers of going back to those really skinny pizza pie slices, what we are going to do is add some more of them on the outside of our square, but we want them to all have the widest ends at the same sides. That just means that I'm going to start this top corner here. I'm going to loop a line back down and come back to this bottom corner. So it just looks kind of like that. And that's how I remember it is this part is the wider part. This is the tapered part. I want them to align the same direction. And we do the same thing on the bottom, starting in this corner. Widest to tapers. And then this side too. And I'm going to erase the name just because I don't have enough room. There we go. And so they all should be, well, in this example, I have them all going clockwise. And so now we're just going to keep building off those outermost layers. So just add a few more. And it's up to you if you can have them all have the same amount of these layers or not. I like to just make it look full. So whether that takes 4, that takes 10. And so what it should kind of give the illusion that the pattern starts on one side and kind of fans over and begins to spiral. And there's just one more step to the hamadox. So because these outsides have these soft kind of loops, we want to recreate that on the inside. So taking those really skinny pizza pie slices, rounding them off like a little arch, and then shading in any of that space. We're just going to do that all the way around. And then repeat the same thing and then kind of like the next spiral. And then the last one. And then I like to go back in and I just try to follow kind of that spiral. All right, so again, this is Hamadox. And if you look up, if you're into Zentangle, a lot of patterns that start with the HAM, they'll have this same kind of, I don't know, it looks like a fan or like a tail, that repeating element. So if you like drawing this one, look up some other patterns that start with HAM. All right. So go on to our next pattern. And we recently did Cubine a couple of weeks ago. And Cubine is a grid-based pattern. So we'll start with our square. So if you remember Cubine, we square off our space. And then inside of it, we add kind of this L shape. Bottom left to top right. Oh, yeah, so this is Cubine. And then we add the diagonal. Oops, just go all the way to the corner. And lastly is a smaller square that comes off of that diagonal line. And then shade that square space in. All right, so maybe that one looks familiar. If not, that's a quick tutorial on Cubine. And so the pattern we're going to learn today is Go Home Cubine, You're Drunk. So it's a variation of that pattern. And with this pattern, we are going to build our grid square by square. So what that just means is just start with a odd shaped square. So we don't want it to look perfect. We want it to look kind of, I was thinking of it as like a little lopsided. And then from there, build up. And from there, you can build out to the side. So they can be the same size or not. So that's going to be my really lopsided grid. And then I'm going to recreate a smaller square inside the space. So instead of making that L shape, we're just going to do an echo. That follows the shape of that space. And so once we've squared off that space, same step in the other cubine, a diagonal from corner to corner. And this is where it starts to look really strange, which I think the more extreme you make your squares, the better the end result you get. And then once we have those diagonals, that little square that just comes off of both lines. And then lastly, shade that square space in. And what I like about this pattern is you can keep building off of it. So you can always go back in, add some more. And then what a lot of people do with this pattern, because it kind of really, to me, it looks a little bit more 3D than just regular old cubine. You could add diagonals coming out of this far side and give it that 3D look. And out of the bottom too. This is a fun pattern. I like this one. And if you've been in my groups, you know, like I don't like the grid-based patterns, but this one's not terrible. I think maybe that's what I don't like, is the grids are too uniform. Like I like this as pure chaos. Pure chaos. All right. So the next pattern. And so what I like about this kind of groups on the weekend is not every pattern that I come across is kind of appropriate for a group, just because with that, the goal is trying to get to that flow state. So I feel like you want a more simpler, kind of easy to remember, not too complex pattern, but there's some really cool patterns out there that are not good for flow, but they look really cool. And so this is one of them, and it's called C chain. And this is going to be one of those patterns you may have to practice it a few times before you feel like you've mastered it. But we are going to start with making a letter C. We turn that C, kind of give it a little push. It fell over. And then we're going to do another C. I kind of think that's our frowny face. And then our smiley face. And then we're going to do another frowny face. We just want to make sure that these two lines, the two frowny faces, are not touching. The same thing over here. The two smiley faces are not touching, so that there's some space here and that there's some space there. All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. So this smiley face, I'm going to have it go all the way up and touch those two guys. Two neighbors, and then I'm going to have one on the outside kind of echo that shape. So it should now kind of look like there's this ring that it goes behind. And so with this one, there would be another one going that way. So same thing. Bring our circle up and then give it a little echo. And again, it should look like a ring that goes kind of behind a little arch. Then with this pattern, if you're working with it on a piece of paper, you can just flip your paper upside down, because we're going to do the same thing now, just to the top. So first thing, extend those lines. So this one would have somebody like there. to have that first, the frowny face lines touch our smiley face lines, and then double it. Same thing here. And I added 2 on the end just so that way you get kind of the full effect. Finish those ones up. Okay, so the last step is all we're going to do is connect these rings in kind of the opening, the empty spaces. So just starting on one side, I like to work across. So here, I noticed that this piece, it goes behind this ring, then it's going to pop back out and connect to itself on the other side. Same thing up here, pops out one side and then connects. And like for this one, they're not very close. Just, yeah, do the best. Close enough, close enough. And so with this pattern, you could make this chain really as big or as small as you want. I think it's fun to play with it too, of instead of just doing the chain straight across, do some C's that kind of, I should have made them smaller. There you go. And have them kind of travel around in a loop. And if you have it too close together, I just put one behind the other one because sometimes my placement's not the best. So I just do my best, make it work. Oh, the Olympic rings. Oh, there you go. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, absolutely. So a bit of a harder pattern just because it takes a little bit more intention to it. So this one for me doesn't get me to flow state, but it looks really cool when you finish. All right, so I got one more pattern for you guys, and this one is, I have fallen in love with this next pattern. It looks way harder than it actually is, and once you do it a couple of times, it's not too terrible. The end result is like, you take a step back and you're like, I drew that? What? And it is called Pezember. And with this pattern, the first thing that we're going to do is we're building a grid, but this time we're using small squares. So we'll do 4 squares. And we will do a 4 by 4. So 4 across, then 4 up and down. Ooh. Squish my last one in there. And then just try your best to kind of have them be have them be about even. They don't have to be perfectly even. And then this is another pattern too that to me requires a little bit extra kind of brain power. And I think of it as we are going to do these lines on the inside of the square, like these four, or on the outside of the square. So I start with the top two and have a inside lines that goes from the top of this square to the top of that square. And same thing on the other side. So I think of it as these two are kind of on the inside of that area. Whereas on the next two squares, that line is on the outside. So it's the outside of those squares. And we just continue to alternate inside, outside, inside. And then if you jump over to this pair here, if you look at this one, it's now on the outside. So that means we need another outside on this one here. Same thing with this four. This one's on the inside. And the last one is on the outside. And then repeat that one more time. And then here at this moment is when I kind of pause and check my work, just because if you have one going the wrong way, it should kind of stand out for you. But if you just kind of look across, they should alternate row by row. And so the next step is very similar to C chain. What we are going to do is create this kind of like blocky robotic C shape. So just starting up here, this top one, I have a line that goes on the outside, the inside, and then to the outside. So it's like a reverse C shape. Then I'm going to have that on the other side. And then one more down here. And I'm going to repeat the same thing for the next column. Using that outer inner line as kind of the main guide. You can always start with that if you're not sure, and then extend it a little bit above and a little bit below. And then very much like C chain, we are going to kind of connect these pieces. So I just start building of where it seems the most obvious. So I look at these outside piece here. I want to have it connect here to here, and then here to here. Then jumping over to the neighbor, I see that this shape and this shape should align. So I need connection there. And then the one above. And with the edges of this piece, you kind of have these ones that are left open. You could have it extend off the page, or I just like to close them nicely. So this one just kind of creates that loop, but it just goes back into itself. Whereas this one, you could have it extend off, or you could have it come back onto itself again. Something here. I'll just end it there. But this bottom one here, they would connect. And with this pattern, I kind of have to take 2 or 3 laps around it. I start to fill it in, then I gotta like take a step back and come back to it, because then I'll notice where I have like, oh, I left one empty or one open. So let me just close it. Actually, that one would come to here. Oh yeah, I forgot. This one here didn't end, and this one here didn't end. Actually, I could have connected, yep, that friend to there, and then connected this friend up there. So a couple of different things. You could have it come back into itself or just have it kind of end with a dead end. That's up to you. But I like this one. Practice it a few times and you'll be surprised. Once you get it, you're like, oh, it's way easier than I thought it is. Than it looked like it was. Yeah. Oh, so good. I didn't lose anybody so far. We're still hanging in there. So let's do some practicing of the patterns. So go ahead and grab something new to draw on, or a new sheet of paper. And I'm going to start with that Pezember. Because that one, I wonder if I can make that one connect with C chain anyway. And yeah, if you guys have any, hanging like a koala, if you guys have any questions, write them in the comment. I'm happy to repeat anything if anything went too fast or you guys now it doesn't make sense. I'm here for troubleshooting. Oops. Just forgot you. I forgot one. Oops. Oh, I just forgot somebody. Go back and check your work. All right, so hopefully you've had some luck recreating these patterns. If not, I'll post the kind of like how-tos on the Reddit page. And one last thing I want to do before we kind of wrap things up is pick the winner of our Zentangle for our first actual Zentangle contest. So thank you everybody who entered and created some fantastic pieces. That was really wonderful. If you didn't get in on it this time, we'll be doing it again. And shout out to my other mod team, Elderberry. Thank you so much for all your hard work because this was mostly your doing. So thank you. Do the corners have to meet those boxes? The corners. So you just want the diagonal to go from corner to corner inside those boxes. And then the smaller box just falls off of that diagonal. So you should have the same number of boxes and columns and diagonals. Yes. So it's hard to pick a winner for our competition. So everybody's piece was fantastic. So we're going to kind of do it a little bit of luck. So I entered everybody's name who created a piece on a piece of paper, and I have it in my little bowl. And I'm going to stir it up and then choose one. And that'll be our first Zentangle competition winner is going to be Dense Perception 506. So if you're out there, Cowfish will send you a message, get in touch with you to give you your prize. But thank you for everybody who did a pattern. We're going to be doing one again soon, so keep an eye out for that. So thank you. And this is fun. But you guys, wonderful as always, and just keep doodling and post your pieces on the Reddit page when you're all done. Have fun with these and see if you can come up with more variations of them. I think that's all I got for you guys. So get out there and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. So thank you guys. And you all have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, as always. Thanks, guys. See you next time. Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for showing up. We had some fun. We should do this more often, right? To Saturdays, does that work for good guys? For you guys, like, I don't know. Oh, that's who won. Dense Perception is who got picked. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye.